Our final speaker today is Alan Nobles. Thanks, Alan.
I always hate going after Dr. Joe. You should bottle the energy. Well, we're going to change gears here. After listening to everything today, we're going to start going through some of the newer technologies. I hate to say everything I have is new, going to have a battery. We're not just doing a shovel. After listening to a lot of them, I almost went back and changed it a couple hours ago and put more laser scanning in it, because there's a lot of sites we have actually worked on that I really wish I had them in here, but I'm going to go pretty quick. I'm going to try to catch you up and go questions later. I'm Alan Nobles. I work for a big survey and a mapping company. I do a lot of stuff with FSMS and Geospatial User Group. So there's my pitch. Toolboxes today. You start looking at surveying today compared to what Joe was talking about, where you had a chain and a compass and you cut everything out. We're not even close to that anymore. We don't hardly cut line or they're going to get mad at us. We go around everything. If you're going to look at it, we're almost like a ghost out there right now. Yeah, and the technology's there. I'm going to cover a lot of stuff real quick. So, you know, if you're interested in it later, come back and talk to me. I've probably got classes on every one of them. From the view I'm looking at, really, we're kind of going to a 3D world. I saw a lot of your maps today. You're really kind of 2D. I think as you start getting going and you start using some of the technology we have, it's really going to be easier for you to start doing things 3D. The data's out there. You just got to get used to it, and it's coming. It's getting in a form where you can do that. It helps you visualize everything much better. A lot of other stuff we're going to right now is web-based, where you can actually host things. I'm going to show you some sites that we do for oil companies and other things that you can actually incorporate into what you're doing if you want to. What's out there right now? We have more surveying tools in our toolbox right now than we ever have. We got photo, and I'm going to cover a lot of these, but the technology's out there. Now, I'm not going to bother reading all these. I'm going to touch quite a few of them for you. Probably the biggest thing is GPS. We've got 4 sites out there right now putting up satellites. The accuracy that we're getting with our phone systems, with our GPS now, is phenomenal. Before, you can never touch that. It's getting where you can use your phone now, and I got a couple pictures of that. Devices are getting cheaper. It's getting where you can run an awful lot of stuff now. You've got stuff now where they got dual frequency GPS, where you're using 2 different frequencies in satellites. It used to cost us about $40,000 to get a unit like that. They now have a Samsung phone and 2 others that you can get that with your telephone. I mean, the pricing's getting down. So really, the location of everything you're doing is getting better. The antennas are always what bother you, because you got to read different areas. You're trying to do it with your phone, it doesn't do it. They're getting really small antennas you can hook on to get the accuracy really where you want to get it at. Some of the stuff we have right now, we've actually got poles where you don't even have to put it over the point. They got sensors in them, so you can actually tilt away and it knows where the point's at. So that's really, it's kind of making it a little bit bulletproof. I don't know if any of you are buying sensors like this, but to us, this unit probably would have cost us $40,000 a few years ago. You can get some lower ones at 12 to 20. Russia's coming out with this site that they're producing them, making them in China. They're coming out dual frequency for $1,800. And that's like a very high-end GPS unit. For us, that's a game changer. It's not on the market yet, but I think it's just about there. Phones and mobile devices, and I'm going to cover these things real quick. It's getting now, when you turn your phone on, you get the little blue dot where you are. It's getting where the accuracy is going to get better than the, if you pull up the Monticello, pull up Leon County's GIS map, it's getting where the dot's getting good enough that you can tell that if you're sitting on your fence and it's not showing up there, you're going to complain. The database we have is not good enough for how good the blue dot is now. You're going to start seeing this data getting better and better. If you're trying to use sites, it's really good. Probably the downside of that is you're going to get sites out where a third party is going to be able to go right where you're at. There's the other side of that one, so you got to be, I've already seen that, so you got to be careful with that. But it's getting better and better. The apps on your phones right now are phenomenal. I just pulled this up. I just went on the site and just said, okay, give me survey apps. That's the ones I pulled up, you know, in 15 minutes. It's amazing what you can get if you want to look. You actually got stuff where you can actually scan buildings like that, get the full model out of it. just with the instruments you have on the phone. You can do floor plans. You can turn around and get floor plans out of it. If you're trying to do other sites, you're doing more outside sites, these things are picking them up really, really well. It's the stuff you can do is amazing. We have a lot of this. This is we did all this train stations for MARTA in Atlanta. We've actually got it where you can look at this thing. You can hold your phone up and look at the view. Aim your phone where you're going, and we can actually pull up the data set so you can see it. So when you move your phone around, you can actually see into the data set through the web connection. So if you're looking at sites and you're trying to get data, it's amazing what you can pull up now. This is some stuff we did for Antarctica. They have these little sites everywhere. They got thousands of them. What we would do is we would show up on the site, we'd put a drone up to get an aerial view, we take a laser scanner, we take a 360 camera, and we take a video camera, and we basically videotape all the pipelines. We go back to the office and we will pull up like every one of the valves. We can go read the tags and we'll put the database in. So you can get your iPad. If you get on the site, you can load in and you get all this information. You get all these boxes up. You can basically look at all the details you want to have on it, maintenance sheets. You can pull up schematics on it. You can get a schematic for the entire site where the piece is at and get anything you want. This is another site we're doing. This is a bigger industrial site. This is kind of what we can pull out of this thing now. We can go and do all these sections, and you get all these different, it should get one more out of here. You get all these different data sets out of this one thing on your website. What's nice about it now is you can even get the schematics out of it. But through that tablet, your real problem is you start looking at all the software, you got to have different licenses, you got to have different viewer sets. It's really difficult to have that. We've got one where you tag into it, it pulls up the license, it pulls up everything else. As the end user, you don't see that. So you got all these different softwares where you can do it at one time. This is kind of a sample of what we're doing. You can pull it up and you get one viewing platform. So here's that same site. We can go in here and tag that we want the floor plan. So you can actually pull the floor plan up. We can turn on another layer, get all the bays. We can go in here and say we want to see all the workstations. We can get down to that detail. If you want to look at the equipment in the workstation, you can pull that up. You can also go in here and hit another one that launches these panos. And this is basically like Google mapping. Except when you go in, you actually have control. You can pan around just like you do on Google Street View. And this, you're sitting with your iPad looking at this. You can also go in here and pull up the point cloud data if we scanned it. And this, you can actually get real 3D data out of it. You can get measurements on it. So any kind of a site you may have or something, if you want to start getting to this, I think you're going to start going this way. It's all available. And then again, you get schematics on it. LiDAR, how many are familiar with LiDAR? Just about everybody here. That's been like the magic tool for finding things, isn't it? If you have angles. So I wasn't going to cover as much, but you guys were talking today. I'm like, we did San Luis. It was talking about Myers Park. We did a bunch out there. We have done a lot of sites, which is really cool because we can pull them up and start modeling things, and you pick up a lot of detail. Plus, historically, if you want to look at it, then we can overlay things in too. That's what's really cool. We can take other models and bring them in. That's a laser scanner. We started doing it about in 2005. A tremendous amount of laser scanners out there. You've got handheld, you got backpacks, you got terrestrial ones, you got airborne. The market is really getting saturated. That's probably the main ones we use for the bigger jobs. We've got some on helicopters. It hasn't got down to where the consumer can really get to one yet. That's about a $300,000 unit. So I mean, so you're not going to get one. It's not going to be like a little DJI up where you're going to get photos, but they're getting better. The last 2 years, I've seen the price on these things drop tremendously. We can do mobile, we can do aircraft, and we can do terrestrial on the ground. Mobile, if you got a really large site, those are really good because we can drive that. We can put it on a golf cart and map everything out, and then you go back in the office and pull out what you want later on. Details, fam. If you haven't seen the scanner, that's what it looks like. It basically has a mirror that laser hits it, spins the mirror, and you can see it picking up in 360. If you're a surveyor, that was awesome. When we first got one of those, that was 2 hours. That little bit you saw right there took us 2 hours. We did 8 scans a day. We were lucky. Now we do 300. So the price on going out and getting the data has really gotten cheap. Aerial is, I think, what most of you are looking at. You put the scanner in the aircraft and run it. What's nice about that is it penetrates. It's not like trying to use photographs where you got to have 2 points. If you can see a point on the ground, the LiDAR is probably going to get through and get to it. Plus, you can get other readings on it, which is the trees, any other layer you want to get. 80% of them are going to be single shot, but you can get a lot of information. This is a really old picture I had from something we did. That's the difference if you're trying to do it. If you can see the ground, that's how many points we had hit the ground. The LiDAR we're putting out now would do 3 times the amount of this. I mean, it's just, and that's what you're hunting for because you're looking for smaller definitions if you can get to it. This is Leon County. That's Ochlockonee River. You can see the different kind of data sets we can pull out of it. That one's really nice. That's something like, where's Joe? If you're trying to tie into the Ochlockonee River, and you pull this up and you look how much it moves around, when you're trying to map the old data sets, you can really see how much, okay, that's where the river used to be. That's why when I pull the notes out, it's not there. I mean, even these smaller streams, you can be surprised when we go back and pull them. They don't look like they really move that much, but they really do. I mean, it's phenomenal how much some of the movement you can get out of these things. And this is really showing it up. That's another test area we did. You can see before with the other mapping, we really couldn't get much detail. That pulls through the foliage. You can really get really good detail out of it. I just blow up a little site here. So if you have something in there that was a mound site or something squared off, that's where everybody's zeroing in, especially on these. You see in places like in South America where they're finding these places they've walked by forever. They're showing them up on the map. It stands out. They actually have software that will go through there and hunt for it on these massive areas. You can turn them on and let them go. This is something George Cole did. This is the Ichthena River. That's actually airborne LiDAR. They changed the color pattern so you can actually see through the water in it. That's really nice. That's some springs they pulled up. You can see some mounds out there. Again, this is something, again, I usually don't pass this out because there's people look at it and go out there and they go straight there. So we were really careful passing out some of this stuff. But what you can pull up now is, it's amazing what you can get. That's a mobile LiDAR. I just had a picture of that. That's 2 laser scanners with a lot of gear on it. Basically you have GPS, you got cameras, you got inertial movement sensors. So where you're able to drive at highway speeds and pick up an awful lot of data. That one has 2 scanners so you can get the front and back of everything. This is kind of, let's see if this runs. That's a raw data set. That's driving down the road at highway speed. Everything on there, the paint stripes, everything else, we're within 200s, vertical. So, I mean, the data you're pulling out of this thing is tremendous. The little birds you see up there is actually where the scanner hits the sun and kind of gets a blink. But the data you can get out of it is phenomenal, and you can get it really, really quick, and it's really not invasive. Drones. How many are using drones? Only one. Holy cow. I'm going to pull. Huh?
That's all who are emitting it.
No.
That's all that's emitting it? Yeah. Drones. I'm going to go up to. Drones aren't just the little airplanes. They're anything that's unmanned, that's flying. We have boats that we do hydro with now. We turn them on, do a pattern. It goes out just like mowing the grass, and we can shoot a lake and pick up anything else you want on there. But you hear drones, UAV, unmanned aerial vehicles, unmanned aerial systems, are basically all the same thing, terminology. When we first started doing this thing, nobody wanted to say drones because they thought it was a military drone when they shot you. Now everybody is okay with drones. UPS actually got cleared to do deliveries with drones now in certain areas. So you're going to start seeing a big change. I think that happened last week. That's going to be a game changer. These are the drones that we have in our office. So, I mean, they're, we fly the little DJIs a lot. We can do an awful lot with them, but we got the one on the bottom, we can fly for about 90 minutes. The other one on the right, we can actually put a LiDAR unit on. Some of these other ones are really big. The one down at the bottom is 9-foot wingspan. So, I mean, you're flying an aircraft. A lot of boats you can put out there. I got a friend that actually did this one on the left. That thing runs for about 3 days in the Bering Sea, tow sonar. They just follow it around. They pick it up every 3 days and refuel it. And they just chase it to make sure nobody hits it. So it goes out and just runs by itself unmanned. This is kind of what really if you're launching most of your drones, this is what you're really going to get because the LiDAR is not quite there yet. You're really running cameras. It's really a camera platform. So usually what you're going to get is the red, green, blue out of it, or you're going to get the near infrared, which is the thermal kind of heat, false color IR. If you're trying to work vegetation, trying to pick something out, well, that does, it moves a red color band over, so you get a better distinction on that. NDVI is probably the one you're really starting to see right now. That's really, they expand the color, the green color band, because most everything we do out there is in the green band. So you can really see the differences in vegetation. You can look at this crops and see what's getting water and what's not, what has the stress, what kind of different soil types. Really the farmers now are looking at this and every one of their tractors now pretty much have GPS and they'll put the spray out according to this. So it's a real game changer. Again, that's the same kind of, you can see what's going on with every row out there. This is something we actually did yesterday. This is a mining site. They're trying to find the wetlands on it. If you look in here, we kind of mixed 3 color bands, but if you look in here, you can see right through here where the wetlands are. Now it shows up really well on the screen, but this kind of blurs it. But you can look and see between the vegetation, very distinct lines, depending on how we want to pull it up. Also, we took one of them. Believe it or not, the one on the left, you can see where it changes there too. We can isolate just the blue band and do the reflect on it, so we can take all these bands and do different things with them according to what you're trying to hunt for. So that's different variations of different colors that we just pull up and work with. So it depends on what you're looking for. The photographs we can get out of the drones right now, we do an awful lot of stuff for power lines. And this is the kind of photographs we get out of it. Actually, we're down to that kind of detail where you can actually see the burn marks on the left. LiDAR, we're just not quite there yet. We can put them up, but it's very expensive. The last 2 years, I've seen the price drop. I think in the next 2 years, it may start getting a range where you can commercially do it. That's some of the LiDAR data sets we pull out. What's nice is we can put like a copter up like this and do all 4 at one time, where we can get LiDAR, we can get thermal out of it, we can get a nadir view, and we can also get an oblique view. So in one pass, we can pick up an awful lot of information now. That's a substation we flew over and we just modeled. So it's nice you could shoot this data, go back in the office, take your time, pull out whatever you want to do with it. You can pre-plan. If you're going to do one now, the software is really good for doing that. You can actually see how wide you want to do it, what kind of resolution you want. You can plug all that in and you can get the flight plan set up and just launch aircraft and it will fly the patterns by itself. Very repeatable, it's really nice. This is something we did for DOT. Well, we were testing. DOT doesn't like us flying over the roadway. So we did a flight pattern where we stayed over, we didn't fly on the roadway. If you look, the blue is where we took the picture, the square is what the picture actually looks like. And the stuff below it is where we actually modeled it. That's the results we got out of this flight pattern. So you can see the detail we can get. And if you want us to slow down and go lower, we can get much better detail out of it. So a lot of possibilities on what you want to run. I'll put this in just because it's cool and it's kind of neat to watch. This is one of our vertical ones. This aircraft actually takes off vertically, then transitions in and flies at 30 miles an hour. You'll see it come up. The front blades are going to turn and then it just takes off. Then you land it. If you look on that, that's a full-size 35mm camera with certain filters we have sitting under it. So you can see how big that aircraft really is. Kind of cool. Standards, if you're going to go fly one, that's what he was saying if you want to admit it. If you're really going to fly one of these things and you're really kind of doing it for commercial besides just private little use, you really need to have a 107 that you, a part We call it a Part 107 certification to get. It's really not very difficult to get. Yeah, there's exams on YouTube. You can go look at it, go out to the airport, get your certification. But it will teach you a lot of stuff on it. And actually, if you're trying to shoot one, they're very hard to hit. I can testify to that. Imagery, that's really, if you look at why the drones are working, this is really why. This is one of the guys in my office, see if this is going to run. Should be, it's not. That's the guy. What we did with him is, if you see all the camera marks around it, we took a camera, you just take your phone and go, take enough pictures around it, we can send off the data set and we get a full 3D model of them. And then we took it to a 3D printer, we printed it out and drew things on them and put them all over the office. So those are fun things you can do with it. But if you look at this, this is, two of these are laser. With us taking a 3D scanner out, the other ones were done out of photographs. So I mean, you look at the modeling on them, the photography is getting really, really good. I will hate to say, like Notre Dame got burned. Google already had the whole place modeled. When you post your photos up, they get them, and you can't believe how many places they have exact 3D models from everybody sending their pictures in. It is phenomenal the amount of data they got. They're a scary group. This is a site in Israel. This is a group we were working with. This is out of a drone. This is just photographs. And this is probably 4 years old. The data we get out of it now is much better. But if you look at it, it's a full 3D model. You can zoom in. The details are really, really good. It's a little grainy on here. But if you got a site and you can get enough photos, we can get you a really good model out of it, which you can bring it in and look. Again, then we can add things on and we can manipulate it and do all kinds of other things with it. Really, the secret to that is we set these patterns up, make sure we got the photos in the right place. And I'm going to kind of speed through this. You turn that on, as long as we have the right control in there, this program will run through and produce a 3D model for you. That's, I'm making that really simple, but that's kind of what it does. I'm going to show you a piece of this. This is Pix 4D. All right, I'm going to try to get the sound away. What they did here, I was hoping I could speed it up. All right. Tell you what, that's going to drive you crazy. Basically what they did there, they took a GoPro, they took a regular camera, they used a DJI helicopter, they took 6,000 photos, they put 9 control points in it, they turned it on, and they got a full 3D model of the castle. Interior, exterior, everything. That's the capabilities you're getting out of the photographs right now. They're really, really good. This is kind of a mining site that we used a big one on. You can see we got big turns because the copter you can go whoop. Yeah, the aircraft we got to swing around. There's all the photos. That's how the photos, you can see how they're tilting when they look down. We put it together, that's what we can get out of it. So we can put all these together, and basically we can get you an ortho rectified photograph. So it's 2 scale, it does measure right, that's an awful lot of information you can get just about on any site. If you want to zoom in, the detail gets really, really good. Same thing here, we'll use it for, we'll use it on small jobs. If we're trying to survey a Walmart, we don't want to measure all the lines up for the parking, we'll fly this thing and get all that. So, SLAM technology, this is kind of a newer one that's out there. It's simultaneous location and mapping. Really what you do is you got this hand unit. Once you orient it, if you walk around with it, you got to like kind of move it. It will map as you're going. It will locate where it is at that time and give you a 3D map. You can see a little drawing where we're kind of moving around. As you're walking around, it builds a model for you. And the data's pretty good. So that's something you can walk around. You know, now they're trying to do it, they've got it where you can do it in these bigger backpacks. You get much better information out of it. But these are all available. So if you got sites you want to walk around on and try to map everything at one time, it's a great way to get legacy data. That's a model, it's handheld. I think they're running maybe $30,000 right now. The backpacks are probably $100, but the price on them are coming down. Everything I'm showing you, prices come down a lot. We do a lot of SU mapping. I think all of you are pretty familiar with radar if you're doing this job. Different things, so I wasn't going to cover a lot of that one. I haven't seen the price drop on that much, but they are getting better, and you can model all that. Some of the other stuff, all right, I'm hoping this works. Here we go. If we do a 3D model, this is something that's really cool. We can do a 3D PDF, so we can actually take the model and you can send this to a client or send it to somebody else. I've got it kind of animated, but what you do is you can just take your mouse and you can take it and rotate it around yourself. So you can actually send somebody a PDF that's in 3D. So like if you're doing, I know we did stuff over here with that little fish hook, or you got a dinosaur, anything you want to send up, or you can send that to them. A site, we do it for sites where the client can just actually look at their site. So it's really a good way of getting information out. Here's one of the rough models that guy's had. And you can print up an awful lot of stuff with a 3D printer. We use it a lot just for presentations. That's a site we did down in Cross City. That's only got a 1.5 foot fall all the way across it, but you can see the relief on it. Yeah, I did get crazy and got some paint and did it on my desk, and I was pretty high by the time I got done. I forgot how strong that stuff is anymore, but it looks pretty cool. You can go there and paint the stuff blue and do the rest of it great, and it really makes a great presentation. This is something that's going to be kind of odd. It may be something you want to think about. Radio frequency identification stuff. These things have gotten so small and so cheap that if you want to log it into devices or put it into things, you can put it on there. They've actually got Bernstein. Actually, I thought about this. I went to Universal. I got one of these drink cups that was unlimited, and they got an IR tag on the bottom of it. So when you stick it in, it knows you weren't there. You got to wait longer to go do it. So it's cheap enough for them to put it on a Coke cup. Bernstein has got these out, which are pretty cool. They have markers that if you plant them and you want to walk back over them, you can get the data out of them. You can pick the data up off the phone, whatever data you want to put into it, or you can update data into it. They also have sensors, seismic sensors that are really, really cheap. You can put it in the ground, and any kind of seismic activity or movement, you can go back and read it, or it will send it back up. They've actually got it small enough where you can take your drone or some other device and fly over it and actually read these things without having to go down and hit every one of them. So that's one of those things that's kind of cool to look at. Virtual reality, we're doing a lot of that. A lot of our sites now are very common for us to put it into something, put it in goggles and have you walk around in it. That is really, really, really getting out there. Again, you got home tour, realtors are doing it. But if you do the goggles, it's really kind of cool. It's kind of nice when you put like the sewer in there. You can put proposed stuff, go back in with your phone, or it will orient, and you can look around with it. It's really, really pretty nice. Augmented reality, we're coming up with designs, or you can have a build and you want to see if it really fit in there. We can pull it in and move that around very, very easily and show you. Just not hard to do. Google came out with something where if they got two pictures, like their street view, they can actually create a third picture in the middle. One of those is the actual picture. The other one is one that Google created. So don't trust any picture you ever see on anything. They can just about duplicate anything you have out there. I'm kind of automated stuff in AI. I was going to touch on AI. I don't know if it's going to help you a lot, but we're doing it. We're getting where we can do. This is FSU Stadium. We modeled the entire thing when they're putting in the Champions Club. There's 3,000 beams in there. We got a program up where it would go hunt for the beams and automatically put them up for us. Now the problem with that is we got to model it. This is some stuff like if you're hunting for certain things on sites, we have programs that will go through there and find that. We do it for finding curb and gutter. Do you find them fire hydrant? We do that for processing data, which could be something that could run over to what you're doing. AI, that's really going to come along really good. Hey, basically with AI, we don't have to sit there and tell you We haven't got to define what a light pole looks like. We showed the software 1,000 light poles, and it figures out what a light pole looks like, and it goes through and finds it. We're doing it with power lines, and it's pulling up 98% of the data now. We just showed it all kinds of transformers, all kinds of connectors. It figured out what they look like. So it's really running through now and figuring all this thing out for us instead of us hand doing it. So if you're really got anything that's monotonous and you're doing a lot of it, you know, this is going to come. It's going to come on pretty strong. Again, we kind of looked at that. We can also do the thing for having it go through and recognize hot spots. And at that, I'm going to quit. Can we go now? Ready for questions? Did I speed that up? All right, that was fun.